All right, so this is a Trojan horse, as you can see on the right-hand side, and yes, it's named after the Trojan horse of, you know, Greek mythology. Okay, basically what it is it's a program that appears to be something that you want to run or use on your computer, but in fact, it's doing something malicious in the background, right? So like just like the gift of the Trojan horse. Here you get this thing that you want, and then it comes with a surprise inside, okay? Backdoor programs and rootkits are programs that allow hackers to gain access to your computer and basically to take almost complete control of it without your knowledge. So it may still be running fine for you, and you think everything's good, but in the meantime, there's some trouble brewing there in the background, okay? Any kind of computer that a hacker is controlling is called a zombie, right? And these are often used to launch DDoS attacks on other computers. So DDoS is distributed denial of service. And these are often used, well, let's go to the next slide and I'll tell you. They're often used to deny users access to a system, okay? What the hackers do is they are repeatedly making requests of that system through computers that have been taken over. And so they're like zombies, okay? So this could be your own computer, like my computer could be doing this right now, okay? These types of attacks bring down big corporations, it happened to Sony, I believe, one Christmas, right? And so the attack happened and it crashed Sony's system server, and so they weren't able to have their website online. And of course, Christmas is like kids were getting PlayStations and whatnot, and we're excited to get online and play their games and spend some money. And so Sony lost out on a tremendous amount of money, which was like the point of the attack. Really, these servers can only handle a certain number of requests for information at one time. And so when they just get flooded, they're like bombarded with requests. The server just says no, it shuts down, it refuses to answer any requests for information, even if those requests are coming from like legitimate users. Okay, so that's the way that these attacks work. Okay. So denial of service happens. It can be done with a few computers, but normally it's going to be a DDoS. So that's the distributed denial of service, and that's when it's a bunch of computers are sending requests to this server at the same time. Okay. Also, we call them a botnet. So it's this large group of software that's running on these zombie computers. Okay, so you can see here in our little picture, right? Here's the server. Okay, so they have victim right here. It's a little dramatic, but I don't know. Maybe I've never been a victim of a DDoS, so I don't. Maybe you do feel victimized. Okay, there's your server, and then here's all these different computers, right, that have been infected from this hacker computer. So the hackers type something on their computer, sends like go, to these other machines, tells them to start sending requests, bombarding this server here with their requests. And of course, it's going to be more than like 5 computers. It's a bunch of computers. So that's how that works. So you hear about those attacks in the news. Now you might know what they're talking about if you didn't already. All right. We also have exploit kits. And basically, these are just software programs that run on servers that are searching for vulnerabilities. Okay. Basically, they're looking for like ports in which they can gain access to your machine. Okay, and these are called logical ports. These are virtual. These are not actually like something you plug stuff into. Okay, not physical, but they're virtual communications paths. Right. So when we talk about viruses, really a virus is just a program that attaches to a computer program in order to spread to other computers. Okay, you can think of it just the same as you think of like the cold virus. Okay, you get infected with the virus, it starts replicating. Okay, it replicates itself, and then it sends it off into other computers. So spreading around, sort of just like the way a cold or the flu does. Okay. That's its main purpose, is to replicate itself and to copy its code into as many other host files as possible. Okay, these viruses are, they're written to spread, like they want to spread. That is their main purpose in their little virtual life there. Okay. Any sort of secondary objectives are usually destructive. Okay, so that to freeze your computer, so make any information that you have saved on your hard drive like unusable, that type of thing. Okay, they can delete all, say, they can be programmed to delete, say, like all of your Word files or things like that. So destruction. Okay, and computers are not the only machines that can be infected with viruses. Yes, your smartphone can get a virus, so can your tablet. All sorts of other devices can also be infected with viruses. Okay, so viruses come in many different types, including boot sector viruses. And so what happens with these is that they happen when your computer boots up. Okay, that's when they are activated. Okay. We also have logic bombs and time bombs, and these types of viruses execute when certain conditions or dates are reached. So they'll say, okay, when they've opened up Word like 10 times, then it's time to execute the logic bomb. Time bomb could be, okay, on, Friday the 13th at, I don't know what time, whatever time, then that is when we're going to execute this virus. Okay. We also have worms, which are a little bit different than viruses. They spread on their own. Like, they do not need any human interaction. So they just sort of travel around all by themselves, just like an actual worm. Okay. We have script and macro viruses. These are just like these little tiny series of commands, okay, that you can have inside of your Word documents, Excel spreadsheets, all different types of things. So a lot of times it's going to ask you when you open up a document that you found, say, online, like, are you sure you want to enable editing? Because that will allow, if there's any like malicious, macro viruses on there or script viruses, it'll allow them to run. Whereas if you keep it like in read-only mode, it sort of keeps them at bay. Email viruses, okay, spread as attachments to email, so oftentimes using your address book, so they spread out to like everybody in your contact book. Okay, the email looks like it came from you, and somebody opens it, and just the fact they open the email executes the virus. Okay, the first virus actually was an email virus. It was called the Melissa virus. It was a man in Florida who wrote this program, and he was a big fan of this topless dancer named Melissa. Okay, and so he named it after her. She must have been very proud, and then he sent it out. Okay, and the way that it works is it would say, hey, so and so. This attachment is for your eyes only, okay? It had a little winky face, okay? This is like the early 90s. And so, people get this email and they're like, what's this? Like, what did, this person send me? And so they would click on it and boom, that would execute the virus. And what it would do, once they'd open that attachment, it would send out the virus to every person in their contact list, and then when they would open it, send it out to every person in that contact list. Like, it was a huge deal, okay? It really bogged down the system, okay? Like I said, again, this is the early 90s, and so, this is affecting everybody that used email, and it really slowed down the internet, actually. And when they finally caught him, they asked him why he did it, and he said, just to see if he could. All right, So that's your fun story about the Melissa virus. Okay, and now we have encryption viruses are a major problem. So these are like ransomware. Okay, basically they hold your files hostage, they lock them, and you have to pay, usually in some sort of cryptocurrency. That way, you know, the people you're paying can remain anonymous. They give you a certain amount of time in which to gather the money and to pay them. And then supposedly once you pay them, they'll send you a key, which will unlock your files. And you know, it's a toss-up if they're going to actually send you the key once you pay or not. Because once they have your money, like, do they really care if you can open your files or not? Probably not. Okay. So yeah, hold your files hostage by encrypting them, and then they ask for a ransom in order to unlock them. Okay, so viruses can also be classified by the methods that they use in order to avoid detection, right? So we have polymorphic viruses, and what they do is they actually change their code in order to avoid detection. So the way like antivirus software works is that it looks for certain signatures in programs, okay? And so what polymorphic viruses do is they rewrite themselves, okay? And so they don't have those signatures that the antivirus software is looking for, and so they go undetected a lot of times. So it's crazy, right, to think of these programs doing that. Multipartite virus is designed to infect multiple file types, again, in an effort to fool the antivirus software that's looking for it. Because sometimes they'll think, okay, we're just going to search through, like, again, for example, like your Word files looking for this virus. So maybe it does that, it doesn't check your Excel files, and you know your virus is hanging out in that type of file also. Okay, stealth viruses temporarily erase their code from the files where they reside, and they go and hide in your RAM, in your active memory. Therefore, again, avoiding this, you know, the detection of antivirus software. Like when you do a scan, something will, you know, I hate to say no, like I'm not attributing like these human attributes to the viruses, but you know, they'll through their code, they will know when a scan is being run, then they can erase themselves from where they normally reside and go hide in active memory. And if you're not doing a thorough scan that, you know, is checking everything, then those type of viruses are going to be missed. Right? So I think this is totally crazy that these things happen like that.